Welcome to the 2017 Red Raider Coaches Show. I'm your host, Joe Hayes, and I'm here with head coach Kyle Langford. Coach, history's made. It's an exciting day in Bacon County. I know we still got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's still a very exciting day for all Bacon County fans, players, coaches, and the community.
Yeah, it's good. Just to beat those guys is always good, but I'll tell you what, and one of the old timers told me this when I first started coaching. He said, if you start worrying about history, you'll be history. So all we need to worry about is that we get another chance to play this week against another very good region team, and once again another undefeated region team. So it seems like we don't get any slack, and it's been hard the whole way, and it's going to keep being hard again this week, and a very good Toombs County team.
Well, we're doing something a little different, Raider Nation. We're coming to you live from Subway. Mr. Ron Williams, he was too kind to allow us to come up here and do something a little different and create some excitement. And we, Coach, the Touchdown Club, and yourself and myself, we always like to try to give back as much as possible to all the companies that sponsor us. And if you haven't been to Subway, you need to come out. They have got some outstanding food. I've got a sub right now, an Italian BMT. My favorite sandwich, personally. Every time I come up here, I can't talk myself into getting anything else.
I don't think there's anybody in Alma that doesn't come to Subway, because every time I come by, it's slam packed.
That's right.
And I wait in line 15 minutes, but I'm glad to do so. You know, we're glad to be here tonight.
You can get you a bag of chips, you can get you a foot-long sub, and get you a drink. And the thing about their food, too, it's good quality, healthy food.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Yep, it's good for you. And because of that, we feed our players. On all the away games, we actually feed our players subs here from Subway. And they're easy for us to keep cool and carry with us on the trailer, and after the games we feed them.
And the big thing is they know how to do things. We've been doing business with them for a while after these games, so it's not like we have to explain everything. They're professional, they know how we need it, they know how to package it and how to get it to us, and we appreciate everything they do. It makes my life a lot easier on Friday nights, knowing after we come off a hard-fought win that we can feed these boys, they can enjoy it, and we can get on down the road, you know.
So Raider Nation, let's make sure any chance you get, come out and support Mr. Ron here at Subway. Like I said, they step up financially every year for the Touchdown Club to support our football team. I know he supports track and field. I know he supports the golf team.
Oh, yeah.
I know he supports softball. I mean, he's all things Bacon County, and that's the type of people that we surely appreciate as a booster club, is those type of businesses and individuals that just go above and beyond and do everything they can for our organization.
Well, you go in somewhere and it's family, you know, so it's not like you're seeing strangers when you come in here. It's people you know, it's people you kin to, people you've grown up with, and they're here to take care of us, and we want to see them thrive and do a good job here in Alma, and we're proud to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, let's dig in a little bit on Jeff Davis. We're 4-0. Week 4 is behind us. What an atmosphere. I mean, we get over there, you know, the crowd was a slow building crowd. And I was a little concerned there about 30 minutes before game time. And then all of a sudden, probably 15 minutes before the game, here come the droves of people.
Right.
And the sea of red and white fans. Raider Nation showed up in a big way. I couldn't be prouder. I mean, they kept coming and they kept coming. And I know a few of the people that came in come up to me and said, my goodness, there was 300-400 people in the line to buy tickets to get in the gate.
Well, I can tell you this, they can blame themselves, because I told you last week, I said you're going to have to get there at 6:30 to sit down. And some of you didn't listen to me and you had to stand up. But I'll tell you what, those people that stood up, raised cane the whole time, just like the people sitting down. So you get your little exercise in anyway. But next time you listen to me, get on that game early now.
Well, for those that missed it, I'll tell you what, it was a big disappointment, because you probably missed one of the most physical, high-energy environment football games that we've had in Bacon County in some time. And or for Bacon County, it was in Jeff Davis. But Coach, we got over there, we kicked off to them first, and they tried to drive down the field. They crossed the 50. We made a good stop, and they were forced to punt to us. And 2 plays in, we fumbled.
Yep.
And I know myself, I got a little worried that I hope this wasn't something at the start of the game that we were going to continue to do, but it was a mistake early, and we really didn't make too many mistakes after that as far as turnover-wise. We didn't, but the good part about that fumble is Jeff Davis took over on possessions, and then by, I think, 3 plays later, we caused them to, 2 plays later, we caused them to force a fumble, and then we recover, and then it was just good football after that.
Yeah, ours was self-inflicted, and, we picked up 7 yards on first down, and we knew we had a good play call on second down and just didn't handle the snap. And sometimes those kind of things happen.
And it come out a little hot. It kind of hit him at the top of the face mask, and he tried to react to it quick and get his hands up to catch the ball, and it just kind of come up and glanced off.
We expect Cooper to handle those, and so we'll put the blame on him on that deal, and he knows he'll handle it next time. It's like I told him, the most important thing is not necessarily getting the play off. The most important thing is securing the snap. Even if we don't get the play off, then we're still rolling, third down, we still got possession, and we run a good play, and then, go from there. So it's disappointing to turn it over. But that was deep in their territory, and defense really stepped up, and I thought did a great job of turning it back over to us, and almost had a scoop and score right there.
Right.
But then we settled down and played football, and I thought we played well, really the whole game. And I told you we couldn't simulate what they were doing in practice. We knew that, and they had tremendous speed. Very good team. I'll take nothing away from them. They're a good team. But once we settled in a little bit after first, I'd say 2 or 3 series. Then it was a little bit tougher sledding for them, and we made some adjustments. I thought at halftime some really good adjustments. And but like you said, the name of the game, and I said this last week, and I've said it for 2 weeks now, it's not about the plays we run, it's not about what we're doing on defense, it's about lining up correctly, and it's about being physical and dominating people and hitting them. And that's exactly what we did Friday night.
Well, that's right. Well, after that turnover, we had a good, successful drive down the field, and I know Anthony Madison, can't remember if it was back on our first or maybe the second play, he broke for a 50-yard run. That was his biggest run of the night, and he had a pretty big night. He ended up, I know I roughly calculated 190, but what was his actual stats, Coach?
Oh, he was 20 carries for 181, and he had 1 reception for 14 and 2 touchdowns.
That's right, 2 touchdowns.
He's a little off of his pace from the previous week, but it was still a good night, and we'll take it, good hard night for him.
Well, Jeff Davis didn't make it easy for him. I mean, it was a physical game on both sides of the football.
Well, the big thing for me was they kept walking people down the box, and they were bound and determined not to let us run the football. But we're stubborn enough, and we believe in what we do, that we're going to run the ball. If you put 11 people in the box, we're going to try to run the football. And so I thought our offensive line did a really outstanding job with that, because most of the night there was always 8 people in the box, and sometimes it was 9, and they kept bringing them down. We kept blocking them, and you still got to tackle Anthony. It doesn't matter if you have 11 people or not. You still got to try to tackle him.
Well, as far as time of possession goes, I believe Jeff Davis probably won that battle. I felt like they were on the field offensively more than we were.
Well, we looked at when we went over the film today from the game. They ended up running almost 80 plays. They ran 80 plays, we ran 36.
Wow.
So that's around the third of what we generally are at. So that, to me, and when you see a game breaking out like that way it did in the first half, the pressure goes straight to me, because every play you call better be a good one, because you're not going to get the ball very much. So we're trying to be in a position not to go 3 and out, because you can't live like that in a game like that.
Right.
Because I think the second quarter they ran 9 minutes off the clock. So if we go 3 and out again, then they run the whole 12 minutes off. So we couldn't do that. And I knew once we got to halftime 7-7, we were in good shape and receiving the ball. Now, little did I know that we would make a mistake coaching and make them kick it again, and they would get the onside kick. But the funny thing is, at halftime, we actually lined up in the locker room, and we knew it was coming. I saw them working on it in pregame, and it looked pretty good. And I said, well, we hadn't seen it on film, but they're working on it, so obviously they can do it. So we had it lined up. We just didn't obviously communicate it well enough that it was coming, and lost the ball there, and that was a big disappointment. But it
was on when we come back from the half. Didn't they kick and it went out of bounds, correct?
So I should have took it there at 35, and that was greedy on my part. But you feel good enough about your players. It's not like we don't trust them. I trust our players. I trust them to listen to what we say and do what we say. And so I got a lot of guts, and we want to kick it again and see if we can score with it. And it just didn't happen. It went against us that time. So the good thing is that'll be a good learning tool, and I can guarantee that ain't going to happen again.
Well, one thing I have to hand to Jeff Davis is their offense really did a good job of moving the ball on us. I thought their offensive line really handled our defensive front for a good majority of the game. It seems like they were getting advantage. They were getting a little under us, and they were kind of driving our defensive linemen around, and they were getting 5-6 yards a chip. And but finally, our guys, one thing that we did do very well is our defense did tackle all night long.
We got to
very
football.
well.
If you look at the film, every time you look up on a tackle, we got 5 or 6 guys over right at the ball carrier, and that means you hustling. That means you getting after it. And we knew they were good up front. I thought their offensive line was the best thing they had going, and it was pretty good. And but guess what? Everybody you play in this region's got a good offensive line, so that's not a news flash or anything.
Right. Well, in the second half, Coach, things kind of turned. We've been a second half team, it seems, all season. It was a close game up until in the fourth quarter, and really the nail in the coffin was when KJ Batten Blitz come in, made a big hit on the running back and caused a fumble, and Garrett Anderson was able to scoop and take it, I believe it was 64 yards,
right.
And return it back for a defensive touchdown. So
and
that was huge.
We talked about that at halftime. You know, we knew we needed to create turnovers, which we did. And I really told them, I said, it's time that defense scores. Defense needs to score one. Now, little did we know it'd be Garrett, outrunning anybody for 65 yards, but he did. And he's a good ball player. I thought he had a really good game. And what they tried to do a lot Friday night was get on the edge. And he's our edge setter. He set the edge well all night. He had a good many tackles, but that wasn't his main concern. His main concern was to force everything back inside where we had flow coming from. And he did a good job of that. So it took gains that would have been 5 and 6 yards if they bounced it under 60 yards.
Right.
So I thought he did a really disciplined job. He's just a selfless guy and a real good team player for us, and he did exactly what we needed him to do.
Right. Well, Coach, I know I had a lot of people ask me questions about the one penalty where their quarterback, his helmet come off.
Yeah.
And the way that works is, if I'm not mistaken, to GHSA rules, once if a quarterback's helmet or any player's helmet comes off, that play he should go down and end that play immediately.
Play's dead.
So there was actually 2 penalties there that should have been called. There should have been a call on us for either face mask or the helmet coming off, and then there should have been a penalty actually on the quarterback for
the continuance of the play.
Continuing of the play. But what did the refs say to you? What was their actual justification of not saying he continued the play? Did they say they blew the play dead and it didn't count?
They said once the face mask was, and it was a face mask. I mean, we had defensive lineman. He made a good play, and he's just up too high. And he's grasping and grabbing and getting with it, and got up a little high. Helmet came off. So what they told me was the play was blown dead there, and the interception that ensued did not happen. And so that's fine too, because we got to be a little smarter than that and play a little lower. I mean, I don't know how we're grabbing up there around the head. We ought to be down there a little lower than that. So
yeah.
But it's the way it happens, and when the helmet's removed by a defensive player, he's not forced to come out for a play. I know that I heard it sound like, I told him it sounded like a choir behind me, everybody screaming for him to come out, but that wasn't the case, and that's why I wasn't on the field raising Cain and having a good time, but that's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a break, sometimes you don't.
Well, it kind of, I know it went silent, after we had the scoop and score on the Jeff Davis side, but I've still tried to really give a shout out to their program and what they got going on over there. You called it, Coach.
It was Legends Night was just super impressive. It was unbelievable. The Legends out there Friday night, and it was a big night for them and a very exciting night for them. They had, I tell you what had me tore up was that doggone smoker they had going on there with that barbecue. It really smelled good, and it's a first-class program. But I tell you what, I think Coach Helton is an outstanding man of character. I think he's an outstanding coach, and he's going to do a well of a job over there. I really like him, and he does exactly what they need to do, and he's a tough, hard-nosed guy. And so I expect he'll do quite well over there.
Yeah, so that's, he's definitely got their program pointed in the right direction, and that, it's going to continue to be good competition for us year in and year out. Jeff Davis always brings it, so we know.
I promise you we're not going anywhere.
Yep. And whether they come here or we go there, it's going to be just good old-fashioned rivalry football at its finest, right?
Yep. And for us, it's, I don't put any overemphasis. It doesn't make a difference to me if it's Jeff Davis or Pierce or Berrien, it doesn't make a difference. All right? What makes a difference is, are we going to line up and play football the way it's supposed to be played? Are we going to play hard, and are we going to represent Bacon County the way it's supposed to be? And that's what's most important to me. It's not who we play, but it's maybe how we play, I think, that we need to work on.
Well, let's shift just a little bit here. Let's stay on Jeff Davis, but let's talk about some key elements or some players. I know special teams, we have one big breakdown play where we kick to them.
His poor job.
Yeah,
really
and our
poor.
Guys didn't stay in their lanes. And number 21, he's quick. I mean,
he's excellent. He's all-region player last year, and he may be all-state player this year. He's very good, very good.
So that play broke down on us, and they were able to come back and score immediately. So that kind of takes the breath out of you. But all in all, special teams, our kicker, an extra point kicker, was pretty on point all night.
Well, we spent, and Coach Bordeaux, who obviously does a fantastic job, and he's a professional, and he's good at what he does. We made a real effort last week because I thought our extra point team the last 2 weeks was just terrible. And we have corrected that. I thought it looked a lot better. Maybe the last two weren't as good as we hoped for, but I thought the other however many looked really good. So that's something we spent a lot of time on, and it's like we preach to them. If we get the snap, we get the hole, we block, I will promise you 100 out of 100 Ronaldo Juarez is going to put it between them uprights. And he kicked one almost over the press box, that first one. And it sort of, I think last week getting that field goal block kind of embarrassed him. And I don't think you'll see that happen again this year.
Well, on offense, we know Anthony Madison had a big night. We're excited for him. I know Dawson Jewell, I thought, did really well, Coach, for the most part of the night.
He ended up 7 of 8 passing for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. And so he had a real efficient night.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up throwing it 12, 13 times. I think we threw it enough to be unpredictable. And if you think about it, you say, well, that's not many times. But when you only run 36 plays, 38 plays, that's a lot of times. So it worked out good for us. We were very efficient with passing and ended up throwing for about 110 yards. So we can live with it.
Yep. J.P. Peterson scored a touchdown on offense, a passing touchdown. His name just slipped me, number 7.
Castile.
KJ Castile.
Yep.
He scored a big touchdown there. That was a big play in the corner.
Well, they kept rolling. We go 3 by
fade route, wasn't it?
Yeah, we kept going 3 by 1, and they rolled down in man on the one side. And KJ is the fastest kid we got on the team, and he's 6'2", and he can catch it a little bit. And so we knew we had a mismatch there. Dawson's feet were very good. The protection was good, and he threw a really good ball. And I mean, if it was like that all the time, we'd score 100 points. So we have to have good execution right there.
And on defense, again, every week in and week out, I've got to give our guys credit. Everybody on the defensive side of the ball, I thought, had a lot of good plays. Everybody did well. We only had really 2 major breakdowns. That was the kick return, which was special teams, but we had the one they did the fullback trap, and they went 26, 30 yards.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest play for them, and anytime you can keep a team, their biggest play being one 26-yard play, and we kept them to a 4 to 6 yard gains, and we had some big stops inside of that.
Well, the good thing about it was we limited their passing game to nothing, okay, and that helped us out. When you can just focus on one aspect of football, and that's running the ball, and it's like this, we're kind of bleeding slow, but generally speaking, in the football world, you're not going to go 30 plays down the field very often and score. So we felt pretty good about that situation we were in. But the issue that we had after looking at the film, I thought we did a really bad job of lining up correctly. We didn't line up well a lot of times. And I'm telling you, I thought we had it fixed, and we did a good job last week. We did an awful job of that. And that's something we're going to get fixed, because we will not win many more ball games if we can't line up like we're supposed to and like we're coached to do. And, you know, we got to rep it out more in practice, but I put that a lot on the linebackers because it's right there in front of them. They know the guy's not lined up right. They got to get them lined up. And that's what we got them on the field for, to help us out. So I'm a little disappointed in that. And I think if we would have lined up right, you know, maybe we'd done a little better than we did even.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to Garrett Anderson for the defensive touchdown, and he will get him a steak dinner this week, Friday morning for breakfast.
And Garrett is one of the players of the game. We got 2 players of the game this week, Garrett and Andrew Bloodworth. He played an excellent game on defense and offense, and the Joker played 100 plays. He played 100 plays, and he might have been the only person on the field that did that Friday night. So super proud of him because he played just as hard, play 100 as he did play 1, and that's, you know, that's rare, and that's a good job on his behalf.
Well, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back shortly. We'll talk about Toombs County, our opponent next week, and we'll see you in a few minutes.